Hey guys, so I'm gonna go and do a video about part two. The 4 tiers that I've noticed in people. And this is not to be taken personally or anything like that. This is just what I've noticed. And I'm gonna go and let you guys know a little bit more on how I personally learned how to help these types of people out. At least what I've noticed. So pretty much something that I've learned is that what you can do is, let's say like you know their name and all that, but you want to get to know them. So a lot of people have social media and it's public pretty much. And basically what you can do is just look at it. And kind of what I do is I kind of like create a timeline in my head. And I know a lot of psychology because I've always like looked it up, and it's always something that is high interest in me and just something that I like to apply in my life and to help out others. And so kind of the stuff that I know and then the things that I see on their social media kind of indicate some things to me. And so I'll go and kind of like create a timeline of their life, and I try to figure out why they did what they did pretty much, and just the thought processes behind on why they did what they did. And so you kind of have an idea, and you kind of have a sort of ish what tier they are. Now, sometimes people are different from online to how they are in person. And so when you meet them in person, it may be different. And so there have been cases where I think someone is this certain tier, and then I meet them and in reality they're not, they're on a different tier. But I think that it does help to go and figure out them psychologically and all that. And so that's kind of what I do and all that. And it really did help me go and figure them out a little bit more. So I kind of go and picture in my mind on how they are and stuff. And basically I kind of have it sort of figured on their personality and how they would react to certain phrases or certain behaviors. And so I would play it out in my mind, and I would go and see, okay, if I say this or that, will they react this way? And knowing on how their personality is based on my interactions or based on their social media, then I go and basically know in my head on certain words or phrases or certain actions to help them get up to the next tier if they want that. It's just a certain way you can go and get them if they want. It's, some people want to stay in their tier, and that's totally fine and all that. But something that I've noticed, some people do want to get out of that certain tier that I mentioned, and that's kind of how I do it. So personally, like I said, like for the first tier, they really just need more motivation and all that. So you kind of can, based on their reaction, their personality, their social media, if they have social, if not, then it would be based on your interaction with them, and you kind of have an idea. And personally, I have used this sort of method to help people out, and they have been a little more fulfilled in their life to, do whatever that they feel intuitively that they've been wanting to do all along. So those that don't know me, I do professional organizing, cleaning, and I did have a business where I went in when I was doing it in a different way, and I was saying that I was doing it through a psychological stance and all that. And so this is kind of one of my methods that I did do. So before I would show up and all that, because I kind of knew who were my clients and all that. So, everybody's social media is public. Some are private that you can't see, and that's fine. But if it's public, then I am allowed, and some people have articles about them. And so I would go and search it up, and I would go and create a certain timeline and in my head, and I would figure out where they're at in life. And I could figure out, it also helped me figure out what is their desires and all that, and figure out their personality. And so I would show up, and I kind of had an idea of already what they're thinking and all that. And then I kind of use my psychology skills by, reading them and like figuring out their habits, also by their placement of certain objects. And so I would go and use the social media and the interactions I had with my clients to go and help them accomplish their goals, their inner deep desires and all that, by intentional placement and doing certain mirror techniques for them. And then also to go and use affirmations to go and have them realize that they can do whatever they really want and all that. So this really did help them. And at first they were not realizing they were accomplishing their goals, and they were it was more on the line, since I was reading them very closely and all that, I was placing things intentionally, and so it would create an automatic habit autonomy, and so they would do it, and so it would create them to go and accomplish whatever their goal was unintentionally. They didn't know, but they were just doing it because I made it so automatic for them that they weren't even noticing. And so they would do their goal, and then they would go and wonder, how did that happen? Is because of intentional placement of objects and using psychology. And so here's an example of what I'm saying. So there is a client that I did have that really wanted to go outside to the park with her child at a certain time. It was like in the afternoon. And so did she mention this to me? No, I did not. She did not, but I could go and sense that's what she wanted based on behaviors. And so she was very stressed out. So I had to alleviate the stress. And so I would go and kind of change everything around, take away the distractions like the TV or any kind of electronics, or if something is charging. So for an example, a lot of people go in their bedroom and they'll charge their phone and all that. Well, if you want to take that distraction, go put the charger somewhere else in the room, so farther away from the bed or in a different room, then you won't have that distraction of your phone while charging and all that. And so I kind of went and used that method. Also, I would go and intentionally put certain park toys of the children's, and then I would put it next to the front door. And so I would go constantly put it over there over and over and I intentionally put it in a bag that is kind of bright colored and all that, so they would see it immediately and it's imprinted in the brain, versus if it was a color that was not as vibrant, then they would not notice it or even remember it. And so I would go and put this bag of toys in front of the near this front door. And so every time they would go and put it away somewhere else, I would immediately show up and I would put it back where it is. And so each time, that was the very first thing that I did. So each time they went through the door, immediately they would see the bag. Again, see the bag. Again, see the bag. And so that is kind of how I would go and train the brain to go and accomplish that certain goal. So I would put up reminders about the park and all that. So pictures of their child at the park and they're happy and all that. And I would go and put it in a place where they're always looking and all that. And so that way it reminds them, go to the park, go to the park, go to the park. And so that's kind of how I went and used psychological ways to imprint the brain to go and do your goals pretty much. And so this is kind of a method that you can go and do to help people that want to get out of a tier or their goals and whatnot. we humans don't really seem to understand deeply on habit autonomy and really on how to use it to the max and all that. And honestly, using psychological stances in organizing really does help people go and accomplish whatever that goal is, or whatever tier that they are in. So if they are in a stance, I guess tier 2, and they are, talking about other people, all their energy is going towards talking about other people and focusing on lack of and whatnot. And so something that I've noticed is, like I said, and you kind of have it figured on their social media if they are tier 2. Sometimes if they are very focused on other people and all that. And so something that I've noticed is to go and help them realize their skill sets. And so a way that I do to help these people is to go and, well, obviously say what skill set they have, and you go and bring that out to them. 2, you go in and encourage them to do that activity or a new activity that they'll be good at. Because based on like my knowledge and whatever I've seen on social media or the interactions, I kind of have an idea of what they're good at and their personality and all that. And so I would go and create certain activities for them to have them try it and have them see if this is what they want to do, for an example. And so that's kind of how you can do it on when you meet someone and you are meeting them for the first time. You can either use social media, create a timeline in your head, and play it out in your head on the reactions that you think they would have based on what you say or do, pretty much. And you can figure out the mistakes that possibly you might do and all that. And so this has helped me go and try to figure out people in a way where I can help them get out of a tier or their goal that they want, and really help me in my organizing and all that, doing certain psychological stances on people and all that. But yeah, I do know that these methods do work because I have really gotten many of my clients to go and do their goals without them really knowing. So if, let's say a couple wants to go and do recipes or cook more. So what you do is you go and observe and you figure out what do they like. And based on, I guess, what they eat in front of you. And then you go and you can go and bookmark certain recipes that that they will like based on what they've eaten in front of you. And then you go and you could suggest them, like just leave out the book that's in plain sight. And in order for them to go and, let's say, get food or get a plate, they have no other choice but to move it somewhere else, and they'll notice what you did, pretty much. And so that is a certain method that I have done, and I've really helped tons of people get out of whatever tier that they are in and they feel they cannot. And so you kind of have to use certain methods to get them out, because if you're very blunt about things and all that, then you're just gonna upset people. Because when I was a child, I used to be very blunt about everything. Whatever I thought, I just said it. And realize that when you're an adult, it doesn't work like that. People are going to get angry. They're not going to like you, whatever that is. And so you have to be a little more subtle with your intentions and on how to get your point across. So for me, I'm one of those people that I like to go and show I care by my actions than my words, because when I say things, it comes off as very offensive, I suppose, to some people, or very rude, and that is not my intent. So I have to use my actions to get a point across, and using my brain as a way to decipher things and then go and put it into action and all that. So I just wanted to let you guys know that this is a method to help people get out of a tier if they want. Now, if they don't want to, don't even, some people are just comfortable and they just stay there for the rest of their life. That's totally fine. The whole point of life is to go and learn lessons and all that, and we learn from each other, and they would rather it that way than just bluntness and all that. So I just want to let you know. So don't keep on trying if they don't want to change, because that's just we humans have to want to feel change and do whatever. Then, because if not, then there's no point and all that. So yeah, because I have dealt with some people where they never want to change, and you keep doing it over and over, and it just won't happen because they're so programmed and so ingrained in their brain of a certain way on thinking, mindset, and all that. And I know that everything is mindset, and so if you can go and figure out people's mindsets and you use psychological ways on how to get your point across by your actions, then that is even louder than just words.